Hi everyone, Diane here, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to jump straight in and make a painting which I think is going to bring you a lot of fun. Yesterday we did something which was, as far as I could say, a little bit structured. Not exactly very structured, but it has definite shapes in it and definite leaf shapes and so on and so forth, and definite colours. Today I'm going to be using more or less the same paints, but I'm going to be creating something completely different, which is more or less the opposite to what we did yesterday, but it's very autumnal and you're going to enjoy it. So let's get started. I'll just run through quickly what I've got here. First thing, I'm going to be using my gold MAB paints. These are from Meeden. She's on Etsy. I will put a link to her paints, her website and everything else in the description below. And I've got 6 different colours of gold here. I think this is called the Gold series, and they're very strong, very nice, very brilliant, very sparkly and all that. So I'm going to be using those. They come in a nice little gold bag as well, which is lovely. I've got the Michael Harding paints here that we talked about yesterday. So if you didn't see yesterday's video and you want to hear a bit more about them, go back to that one and have a look at that. But I've basically got quinacridone gold, burnt sienna, green gold, hooker's green and perylene green. Those are the ones I'm going to be using mostly today. Nice strong colours with an autumnal vibe. I've also got here my Gansai Tambi, that is to say Kuretake granulating colours, which I tend to use in what you could call a non-conventional way. These aren't very expensive. A set of these will contribute to the granulation in your paints if you want to do a bit of a granular look, which is what we're going to be doing today. I've also got here a collection of pens, just a gold, a white, a black, a brown, a brush pen and ordinary hard nib, various different things I'm going to be picking up more or less at random to do the embellishments with. And here we've got a few brushes, a small one and a couple of bigger ones. Might want to use something slightly bigger still than that to put the colour on. If so, I'll probably go up to something like a size 11. I think probably that would work for here. Now, this is the piece of paper I'm going to be using, which is the same size as yesterday's. I've taken the tape off of this. Now, I'm just meandering through the whole idea of whether or not to put tape on again. I could reuse the one I had yesterday, which is this one. I could do that. Maybe I will. I don't know whether I want an uneven or an even edge. I can't decide. So let's go for even, shall we? Let's put that on. It doesn't take a second. And it probably looks a bit better once it's finished if it's got an even edge. Although I like the rough edges too. So, you know, it's up to you. As most things are these days, completely up to you. So we'll just put that there. That should just about fit. Yes, so I do like to try and reuse my washi tape if I possibly can. And yesterday I didn't paint up to the edges, but today I will be. So you can start with a bit of a drawn outline if you want. You could grab a pencil. Don't want a hard one. Let's make it nice and soft. This is a 4B. By the way, if you are worried about your pencil lines not erasing, use a reasonably good quality artist's grade pencil, like this Faber-Castell here, or this one here is a Derwent Graphic. They're meant to erase. Sometimes if you use just an ordinary, you know, school pencil or something like that, they're not so easy to rub the marks off. So you probably want to go with something like this. And just get yourself a set. I'll put a link to a decent set in the description below. So what I'm going to do is I am going to divide my paper up into sections, and we're going to paint within the divisions. So it doesn't matter how you do it, whatever comes to mind, as if we were drawing hill upon hill upon hill, if you see what I mean. And some of them can be more or less parallel, some of them can just go wherever, wherever you want, really. Something like that. You can do it really quickly. Probably quick is best. Not going to paint wet in wet. We're going to paint wet on dry. But what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 layers. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute. And we're going to start with, I need my practice one here. Oh, there it is. I put it over there. Yes. My practice one to give me a bit of a clue. So we'll pick up some water. And as I said, we've got the autumn colours here that we were using yesterday. It's going to be a totally different look. And oh yes, and I mustn't forget to mention here, I've got the Jadeite Genuine from Daniel Smith, one of their granulating made from real rock colours. This is a kind of green, like that. And I'm going to use that to kind of give an overall tint to everything that I put on here. So we're going to start with the Jadeite green, like that. And I'm going to mix it with some Perylene green. And then we're just going to paint the bottom one. And I do want them fairly dark, and I do want them fairly wet. Okay, so the point of this, for anyone who hasn't followed my channel before, the point of what we do is to literally get a sense of, what's the word? A sensuality of the colours, you know, because there's so little these days that actually truly appeals to the senses. And I think when you put a colour onto the paper, no matter what the colour is, and it's wet, and it runs, and it might granulate, and it spreads, and it might bleed where it touches another colour like that. And all of these experiences that you can have when you paint in watercolour, they're personal, they're private, they're yours. No one can touch them, no one can hurt you, no one can spoil it. At least don't let anyone look over your shoulder while you're painting, and then no one can spoil it. I make sure that my family don't ever watch me painting. It's not that, you know, they don't appreciate what I do. Of course they do, but I prefer to be alone. I do actually prefer to be alone when I do this. It's just amazing what you can experience when you watch these colours moving on paper, isn't it? That's amazing, truly. You can modify the shape. You don't have to follow the lines that you drew if you don't like the shape that you've created. Don't bother to wash your brush out completely. It's not necessary. This is just burnt sienna, this one. Can put a bit of quinacridone gold in there too. Maybe I'll put a bit of green here. Just do whatever comes to mind. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You don't have to copy me. The idea is to get colour onto the paper in a way which is, I don't know, just in some way or other. I'm going to put a little bit more dark green in here because a lot of it has moved up here. Okay, I think it's time for some green gold here. And because we're going to embellish this, we want the colours to be fairly strong and not smoothed out, you know. We don't want the colours smoothed out. That makes me always think, we had a house sitter last time we went away, and they came to look. We've got 5 cats, right? And they were looking after our cats. And it made me laugh because she didn't say, oh, the cat let me stroke her. She said, and she was English, and I've never heard this expression before, the cat let me smooth her. And we were smoothing the cat, and I'm just like, what? Never heard that said before. Right. Smoothing the cat. Dashing away with your smoothing iron, I stroked the cat away. Anyway, so we're going to put a little bit of purple in here because it will contrast with the other colours. It's the opposite of green, and it will kind of bring that out a bit. Let's put some Hooker's green in with some of this granular one here and put that over here. It's a nice dark green. And we want the joins to blend. I'm deliberately letting them run. If I didn't want them to run, and maybe you might not, then you can do ones that are separate from each other, wait for them to dry, and then come in with the next colour beside it. And it won't run then, obviously. Put a bit of yellow in this one. That's benzimidazolone yellow, which I think is a bit like cadmium yellow, and it tends to be a bit pushy. So where that comes up against something else, you'll see sometimes it will run in rather than accepting the colour that was there first. It might very well run in. I can put a bit of red in with the purple, let's say, and that will give us a kind of pinky colour. A bit more of the red. There we are. And we could put some of this green in with that yellow and get a more limey kind of green. Kind of making them a little bit lighter as they go up towards the top. And this is burnt sienna, but weaker. And how will this one look if it's weakened down? It's more like a grey, the perylene green, when you put a lot of water into it. And as you can see, I'm not necessarily following the lines that I drew. I just put those in as a bit of a guide. And let's put a bit more purple over here, but more dilute. Let me think, what shall I put up the top? Okay, and then green gold here. Not trying to be a landscape, really not, although you could see it as a landscape if you wanted to. Now, what I did with my original, which is this one here, this is the one I was practicing with, and I wanted it to be a kind of wild look. So what I thought I would do next was to go to my granulating colours here, and these are very strange colours because I can show you what they look like. Just a sec, I'll find a piece of paper here. This one is called red. This one is called pink. This one is called orange. This one is called blue. And this one is called violet. The only one that has any connection with the colour that it's called is violet one. I have absolutely no idea what Kuretake were thinking of when they did this. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I've had this set now for quite a while and I don't understand it. But having said that, that doesn't mean to say that it can't be used as a granulating colour. So what I thought I would do with this, I decided I would go over Now, I know that looks horrific, but it's not. We just spread it out, go over the colours that I've put in, and allow it to do its thing, and it will granulate on top of what's underneath. Okay, so I'm just picking up a little bit of colour and going over, and it's not dry underneath yet. So you can see the granulating effect happening there. And that's what I wanted to do. So I'm going to do that over all of these colours, and it will dull them down a bit and make it darker. And I can hear some people will be out there saying, oh, I really liked it the way it was. Well, yeah, okay. So you don't need to do this, but this is what I did. So I'm sharing it with you. I'm going to put the purple one on top of the red, but I'm not going to put the purple one on top of anything else. I've not done this one either because this one is already really kind of out there and doing all sorts of things. This one is, no, wait a minute. This one is green, is blue, which looks green. So that can, when you put it on there, it looks red. It's very strange. I always have a bit of a kind of reaction to this. That one I'm going to leave. Then I might put some mauve on top of this one. You can just kind of ruck up what's underneath and let it do its thing. And then we want the green one. There isn't a green one. There's a blue, though. That will go on here. And you can, you know, spread it out. And then the red, perhaps we'll put the red up here. Red. And you can use the same colour over more than one, and you'll get two different results, of course. So I'm going to put the red all over those three. And this also blends out any little white bits that you've got there. And then on the top there, what I'm going to do there is just lift it a little bit. I'm just going to pull some of the colour off. And then I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm going to dry it with the hairdryer, because that's the next thing I have to do. Okay, so that's dry now. And I'm going to take off the masking tape so we can see the whole thing with its clean edges, which I think that was actually a good idea. I can't use that one again now, it won't stick. So we have our background basically. Not quite sure what happened there. A little blob of something. Doesn't matter, we'll go over it. Now, you can do so many different things with a background like this. You can do all sorts of things. You could treat it more or less as a landscape, which I might do today, or you could just use it as a background for another big painting that you might put over the top of it, or you could, I don't know, you could do lots of different things. And you could start off by dividing these sections by going around with either some gold paint or a pen or something, or black or white or whatever color you fancied. You could do that, or you can leave them blurring, and then you can take your embellishments over the edges, so to speak. So it's really a very flexible way to start. You can start any way you like. So what I'm going to do, I think, I might pick up some of the gold, this gold here perhaps, or this one if that one's wetter. It does take a little while for these golds to sort of get working because they need a little bit of time to activate. So I'm going to just put in some flowers here. We're going to put some nice little flowers painted in gold paint. Like this. Because I'm sort of thinking, yes, this to me is the kind of landscape. Oh, yes, I was talking about the trees that were cut down the other day. Did I mention at the same time we some our neighbours have been still out there with chainsaws. They've been cutting down trees. But the benefit is that we've suddenly got a really nice view over the hills. So there's a good side to everything, you know. Unfortunately, I really am not happy about the starlings not having their trees to sit in, but hopefully they will still come back because they're so interesting to watch. So there's some nice various sized gold flowers in the foreground there. And you could say, oh, I've got all this gold paint on my brush, so I should do something else in gold as well. So that could be a good idea. So maybe we'll go up here and perhaps we'll just do some dots on this piece here. And we might come in a minute with black and go round those dots, or we might just leave them as they are, pretend they're little gold sheep. Wouldn't it be fun if the sheep in the world were golden instead of just plain old white? Yes, there's a thought. Okay, so what do we do next? We could, I think it's a good idea to ring the changes between paint lines and brush lines. And I've got this brush here. This is a Faber-Castell pen brush. It's a bit like the Kuretake Tombos, and it does a thin line and a thick line, and I think that's rather fun. So I think we might do something with this one. We could do, you know what, if we're thinking fields, we could do like ploughed areas. I'm not looking realistic here, but just that's what's coming into my mind. And I'm going to go over here like that. I'm going to leave a space. We've got a lot of heavy traffic going past us at the moment. You might hear some of it, tractors going past, because they're harvesting the maize at the moment. And it's been a very good harvest, actually. So they're all very happy. It's about 3 weeks early. Decided against that space because I really like that effect. I think that's rather nice. You see how it's giving immediately a sense of recession, and you can see the distance appearing as you do something like that, which is not necessarily what we are aiming to do, but, you know. So next, what have I got here? This is a plain black. Let's do some... let's do something like this. This is going to take a little bit of time. This is quite a fine pen. This is 0.5. Just thinking about the maize, it made me want to do this. But I'm not going to put them super close together because I think it's really nice to see the texture underneath, isn't it? And in this field that I've just created, I'm going to put some little seagulls. Just a few scattered around. I really must try not to do that. If you do that, the best thing I can suggest is to pick up some clean water in a clean brush. You could even keep one specially and just try to rinse it out with some clean water. See, I've done it there too. And it's a bit of a shame when you do that after having preserved your white. I should have left it on, but I wanted you to be able to see what it looked like without the edge. And anyway, it doesn't really matter. So we just clean that up as best we can. The green that I've used there is quite staining, so it's a bit hard to get it all off. but that's fine. It doesn't show too much, does it? Okay, so now what were we doing? We were doing this. One's in the distance, a bit smaller, but you can put them over the edge of this field into the next field if you want, like that. Let me think. I think this is really nice, isn't it? It's almost a shame to go over the top of it, but we will. I'm just trying to think what to do. Maybe, no, not brown, because I've got brown here. Gold up there. So you do sometimes have to stop and think a bit. Well, I know. I tell you what, I'll take a small brush and I'll use some small paint. And I'll just put some design on here, leaves and stalks, but light, all right? So that the nice pattern of the granulating effect shows through. And you can see that, can't you, how it's kind of all goes kind of chaotic. I really like that, actually. I'm surprised about that. I don't think I've ever done anything quite the same as that before. So let's see, what shall we do next? We could take some of this perylene green and we could put some of this on here, actually. Sometimes it's necessary to go a bit quiet when you're doing small leaves like this. Well, it's not really necessary, but it tends to happen a bit. But some people have said, oh, I don't mind if you stop talking because it's okay. It's nice and relaxing. It's like the idea of doing this kind of painting is like taking the idea of nature and just stylizing it a bit and making it more, you know, just, oh, there's the idea of a branch or the idea of a vine or the idea of whatever, and just turning it into some surface design. You see what I mean? Okay, so now this one is really interesting, isn't it? I think I want to do some blobs. Or shall I do some blobs in orange or something like that? Orange, yes, that's very orange. Blue, very blue. And then maybe If you feel that it's too dark when you've done it, you can just put a tissue like I did then, put a tissue over the top and lift it off so you get something a little bit more interesting like that. So with that, I am quite happy. And I'm going to come in with the gold pen now and embellish the leaves at the bottom. And we can put some gold spirals inside these things, which look like golden apples, really, to me. Okay, so there's that. Now we're getting to where it's a bit lighter at the back here, so we need to think about what we're going to do there. But yes. So on this one, perhaps some very pale pink on here. This could be some trees or bushes. Or seaweed. So we just go over the whole of this pink area here with some more pink. And while you're doing this, you're thinking, well, will we need more? Will we need gold or something else on there? Will we let it go over the edges? I think we will. Will we put in blobs? Maybe we'll put in little dots here and there. So it's got something kind of sharp and contrasty. Different sizes and so on and so forth. And then we've got the green gold here, haven't we? So I'm thinking what I'm going to do here is do some lines like this. Not all the way across, we do broken ones, I think. Like that. It's funny how this has gone bluish. That is the perylene green, which is very grey-green, almost blackish green, really. So we'll put some of those in. We could put little gold dots in the middle of those too, to make them look prettier. Let's pick up some of this MAB one. Okay, I think we need a bit more white because we've only got the white down here of these birds. So let's put some more white near the top. What shall we do? Let's put, I don't know, could put some more birds in here, couldn't I? Like that. And it's always, as you're doing this, you're thinking all the time of balance, trying to get a balance. And this pink has kind of blended nicely there, so I've made the birds go and live in that part as well. We're getting close to the end now. Maybe I'll use some of the, where's it gone? Here it is, the pink, red, pink. I think it's quite a nice effect sometimes when you do this and you put it on fairly thick and then you lift it off like this and you get a sort of muted effect. You see, I like that. I think that's quite nice. And then we're in the far distance now, so we don't really need very much in the distance. This bit here, which is kind of the sun, maybe we'll put a little bit of gold using a brush, perhaps. Perhaps we'll just put some lines here. I'm not sure if you can see that. We could call these trees. Paint the world you want. That's my motto. Wouldn't it be lovely? I mean, it's nice in the autumn when a lot of the trees go golden, but we actually aren't very fortunate with that here because the particular spot in Brittany where we live, most of the trees are oaks and they don't change their colour until sort of after Christmas, and then they don't even really go a very good colour. Other parts of the area, they have a nice change of colour, but we don't have it here. Never mind, we have other things. Yeah, I don't want that to be too spotty, so I'm just going to go over that with my brush and sort of smoosh it out a little bit. And then I might, because it's so far in the distance, it might also not be a bad idea to lift some of that off, just gently. And then maybe I'll just here do some lines into the distance, indicating the sun over the hill. But again, you know what I'm going to do in a second. I shall lift some of that so that it looks muted, vintagey, kind of antique, not too in your face. Now you can do whatever you want on your background, obviously, and I think you'll enjoy this one. I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. There we are. That's my effort for the day. I enjoyed that. It's now getting on for lunchtime, so we'll go and do that. All the information about what I used is in the description below, as well as other things. Do consider joining us on Patreon. It's not very expensive, or on YouTube as a member. Starting at around about $4 a month, you get a daily challenge with prompts and lots of extra videos out there, or you can access all the videos that we've ever done, which have been done for members. You can access from the point at which you join. So that's a really good bonus. There are literally hundreds of shorts mostly, but some of them are longs as well. So that's extra content for very, very little investment. Right then, well, I'm going to let you go. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you give it a try. Something a little bit different, very different from this one that we did yesterday, using exactly the same colours, but they would actually make quite a nice pair if you did one like this and one like this, and you had them, you know, on opposite sides of a room that was done in these colours. That could look quite effective, couldn't it? So this is a mysterious kind of abstract landscape, and this is, well, the same thing really. Right, I'll let you go and I will see you soon. So have fun and enjoy your weekend. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.